Your impulse control is absolute shit. So why would you test it? This is a concept I find fascinating. So obviously, in Chasing Greatness, in what I teach, around the 5 core principles, which if you are new to the game, if you're new here, are a weighted walk with 10% or more of your body weight every single day, a weighted workout every single day, animal-based diet, meat and fruit only every single day. Catching a theme here? 4 litres of water every single day, and taking a daily photo. Lo and behold, every single day. These are the core 5. These are the things that we do every single day. And if you do these, it'll completely and utterly transform your life. Now, for a lot of people, that's a big fucking shift in who you are. That's a big shift in what you do. There's a lot of willpower involved in that initial change. Now, we speak around this a lot, that I firmly believe that you should have accountability. I think you should hire someone, aka me, but it doesn't have to be me. Hire someone to help you, hold you accountable, to hold you to the standard, to give you incentive, to give you motivation, to pick you up when shit is hard, all that kind of stuff. I think you should have someone there to do it, because it does. It takes an immense amount of willpower and dedication and focus to shift into being that man, to shift into becoming that guy. You're chasing greatness here. That's the whole fucking point. So that takes a lot. But willpower, impulse control, these kinds of things, you have a finite amount of it. It is a finite resource that gets replenished every single day. Why would you place yourself in a situation where that is going to be tested? Why would you place yourself in a situation where you need to utilize more of that than you should? And I think this is, and look, I've had debates about this and people disagree with me, but I've been doing this for a really, really long time. And I think a lot of it needs to become harsher. Like, lots of people want to play in the niceties and the softness and the gentle and all that kind of stuff. But we're trying to play a bigger game than that. We're trying to completely transform who we are. We're trying to chase greatness here. And that greatness can vary from person to person. But at the bare minimum, you need to build a foundation of health and fitness, of discipline, of fortitude, of focus, of grit, of mental toughness. And that's what will separate you as you go through this. So no, it's not meant to be easy. This isn't meant to be a cakewalk. This is meant to be difficult. It's meant to challenge you. It's meant to push you beyond what you thought was possible and to see what you are capable of. That's the whole fucking point. That's what we are aiming for here. But within that, if you have low impulse control, if you're already taxing yourself to the shit house with this and you're pushing yourself so far outside your comfort zone, you're pushing yourself to reach the next level, why would you tempt yourself? Why would you place yourself in those situations? It's like an alcoholic going to a bar, in the first week of giving up alcohol. You know that shit's going to be taxing. You know that it's going to place a serious toll on you. And there's a good chance you're going to fucking break. Why would you do that? And I use that analogy deliberately. And I cop some flack for this, but I do firmly believe it. We're all fucking addicts. We are all addicts. And we are addicts to our comfort zone. We are addicted to the life that we currently live and the comfort zone that we're in. Because if we weren't, we'd fucking change it. If we weren't fucking happy with it and we weren't addicted to it, we'd be like, well, I don't like this. Oh, look, lo and behold, I stopped doing the shit that was upsetting me. I stopped doing the shit that I didn't like and chose a better path. Shocking. And my life got better. But we don't. making change isn't that fucking easy. Making change is actually really difficult. And it's because we're addicted to our current life. We're addicted to our current comfort zone. And we're addicted to who we are, the story we like to tell. I was having a conversation about a certain subject with a friend, and I was like, it's built into my personality. That was the one I realized. That was the one that I hadn't actually clued into, that I've built my personality on this thing. So to change that is really fucking difficult. And I'm in the process of attempting to do that. And we'll see how we go on that. But it wasn't until I keyed in that really key piece that I actually identify with that as part of who I am. And so as long as you continue to have that, you're not going to be able to change. You're not going to be able to do something different because, well, shit. If that's who you think you are, and if that's how you define yourself, what chance do you have of changing that? What chance do you have of breaking that free? Because you'd literally be denying who you are. And this is one of the rubs when it comes to making long-term change, is that right or wrong, good or bad, we associate certain behaviors with who we are. You know, like, oh, I can't help that I drink every night. It's part of who I am. It's part of my ritual. I'm known as that guy. You know, I'm known as whatever it might be. For me, it's a lot of the fitness stuff, thankfully. But that's part of my personality, and there's parts that need to shift within that. That, you know, I'm a gym owner. I'm a fitness fanatic. These are things that I do, that I define myself by, and they are positive things. But, you know, lots of people define themselves other ways. I have a friend who defines themselves as a winemaker. That's a fantastic thing. They also define themselves as a wine drinker. Less of a good thing. You know? Or it's built into, oh, that's just what I do. That's just what I do. That is the worst phrase under the sun. Because, well, you can change just what you do by changing it. You can make a different fucking choice. You can just decide that that's not what you do anymore. And it's the same when we have toxic people in our lives. Oh, that's alright, that's just them. That's just who they are. What, a complete fucking psycho. Complete bitch of a person, an asshole, a dick, a knob jockey. Doesn't make it okay just because that's who they are. Doesn't make it acceptable behavior. It's like drinking every night. That doesn't make it acceptable behavior. That's just something you chose to do. Well, now we're going to choose something different. Now we're going to do something different. Now we're going to be someone different. These are the things that you have to make. But while you're changing who you are, while you're redefining your personality, which is what we are doing, as I said at the start, if you weren't addicted to who you were, if it wasn't ingrained in who you were, and you aren't happy with the outcome, you would just change like that. I want that to really sink in. If this wasn't something that was more entangled into your personality and who you are as a person, you would just change it. It would be simple. It would be easy. You would just give it up. But you don't. Therefore, there is something deeper. Therefore, you're addicted to it. So we need to work on rewiring your brain. We need to work on you becoming, well, the greatest version of yourself. Of stepping into who you know you should be. The man that you can and should be. But we have to let go of these previous ones. These previous parts of ourselves. These previous things that we defined ourselves by. But as we go through that process, as we let go of these pasts, don't place yourself in situations that are going to test your willpower, that are going to test your impulse control. Because especially if it's at the end of the day, when your willpower is at its lowest, when your restraint is at its lowest, when you've utilized the majority of your discipline and your fortitude and your grit throughout the day to get you to that point, there is a good fucking chance that you're going to spend money, or you're going to drink, or you're going to have the pizza or the ice cream or whatever the fuck your crutch is, the chocolate. I don't know. It'll come down to who you are. But don't place yourself in that situation. We have a friend who has impulse control issues when it comes to spending money. And I will openly put my hand up and be like, that is the pot calling the kettle black. Whew, is it? That is, you shouldn't throw rocks if you live in a glass house moment. Just going to be full transparency on that one. But they do. And on things that doesn't matter, especially at places like Kmart and stuff. And that one's notorious, and we've fallen victim to that ourselves. So we know that. So we don't put ourselves into situations where we know that we might impulse spend on things. You know, especially my wife and myself will spend on our children. We'll buy them shit like that. And we're really trying not to do that. We're trying not to impulse spend. We're trying not to just buy shit for the sake of buying shit. So we don't place ourselves in those situations. We shop differently. We changed our patterns. We chose different scenarios on this because, well, we don't want to continue doing that. But this friend hasn't done that. They're like, oh, I keep spending too much money and impulsing buying stuff. And yet they go to Kmart 2 or 3 times a week. And I'm like, well, stop fucking going. Stop placing yourself in the situation that is going to cause you to take the action that you're trying to avoid. It's really, honestly, that simple. Like, it comes back to that concept of, I can tell you your future by looking at the 5 people you spend the most time with. It's the same concept. If you keep placing yourself in situations, you're going to keep repeating history. If you keep placing yourself in the place where things happen, you're going to keep doing those habits. It's one of the reasons why I spoke about before. If you're going to make a big shift in your life, there are 2 things that'll matter really well. 1, attach the new habit to the back end of an old habit, so that then you start associating the new habit with the old habit that's already ingrained. Or 2, revamp your environment. Move your furniture around, move where things are situated, move how you structure it, change how you drive to work, change these things, these patterns that are ingrained to completely rewire it so that you're in a rewiring stage and you set up your brain to be like, oh, okay, well, now there's a different cue here. Now there's a different trigger. And that's how you set up those things. So as long as there is that old trigger that returns you to what you used to do, you're going to fall into those old habits. And that's not where we want to be. We don't want to keep repeating those habits. We don't want to keep living out those same things. So you need to create extra habits around that. But as I said, don't put yourself in situations that are going to test your willpower until you know that your willpower is up to the standard. When it comes to the nutrition side of it, I am now, most of the time, and I will put that heavy caveat on it, most of the time, immune to it. Because people are like, oh, I'm sorry I'm eating that around you. And I was like, I don't care. I know who I am. I know where I stand. I know what I'm doing. It doesn't faze me. I've been doing this for long enough that I know when it matters. But the flip side of that is, because the societal pressure doesn't get to me. It doesn't bother me. And because, well, I've lived as if for so long. I've lived as this guy that 1, people expect it. 2, as I've spoken about before, I sometimes inadvertently guilt people into making healthier choices around me because they're like, oh, I don't want to do that in front of Lachlan. I couldn't care less, but that's that's their thing. But I don't need to eat like everybody else. Case in point, we were at a birthday party, a 6-year-old's birthday party on the weekend. And it was for my nephew-in-law, I guess you'd call it. Anyway, my sister-in-law was like, oh, I've got all this sushi, so I've got so much, so I hope you'll, make sure you eat plenty. I've catered extra for you. And I felt really bad about this because I was like, I am not going to eat any of the sushi. I ain't going to touch that. but everybody's having cake and they're eating sushi and they're having lollies and all this kind of stuff. And they had a fruit platter, which was fantastic. So I had some fruit. That was good. I had a protein shake before I left, had some fruit there, and I ate when I got home. It doesn't faze me on that. But on the flip side of that, I know that I have moments of weakness when I'm at home. Those dark moments when nobody's watching. It's just me and me. There's nobody else there to ever fucking know what transpires. And those are the danger moments. Those are the ones that matter. Those other ones are, as I said, they don't faze me, and generally people don't produce foods that would cause me to crack. And I'm all good. But it's in those moments when I'm really fucking tired at home, when I've had a really bad day, and I'm like, you know what would hit the spot? Ben & Jerry's. Tub of Ben & Jerry's. Or, a large pepperoni pizza with garlic aioli. That'd tickle it. Or killer pythons, or, whatever. So we don't keep any of that stuff at home. I don't have the apps on my phone to order. I don't have menu logs. I don't have Uber Eats. I don't have any of that shit on my phone. I don't have things around me in those situations. So when my impulse controls are low, the effort that is required to do it is so high that if I actually break and do it, I don't think there was any chance of me stopping. That's where I've gotten to it on it. Because, well, I haven't reached that point yet. There hasn't been a moment where it's gotten so bad where I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's what I'm going to go do. Because the effort level is so high to go feed that sedation, to feed that desire, that it's usually enough to kick me back and ask the question of, is it worth it? And what am I doing? And that's where you want to be. And that's what you want to do. You want to force the impulse to be vetted. And we've spoken about it before. There's different ways you can do it. You can use the 5-minute rule, you can do the 15-minute rule, you can kick it to tomorrow rule, depending on what it is. But it's that kind of thing of see if it's emotional or see if it's something deeper. And you can utilize things like the 5-minute rule. All right, I'm just going to kick it down the road for 5 minutes or 15 minutes. And see if I still want it, I still want to go do it, then I'll go do it. Often I use this on rest or taking breaks from work or things like that. That if it's still there in 15 minutes or so, I'll go do it. If it's spending money or impulsing on food, I'll say, okay, not today, but tomorrow. And my goal is to see how long I can kick it down the road. And if I get to a point where I'm like, no, I need this, I really, really need this, and I purchase it, usually, as I said, it means it's quite an ingrained thing. And I do actually have a deeper desire for this. But more often than not, what I find is that it just passes and I never think about it again. In fact, I have a giant fucking list on my phone of future purchases, is what I've called it. I think I've bought like 5 things off that. And not from going back to reference the list, just because it kept coming up. And I was like, no, I do actually want that. And so therefore I went out and purchased it. But it teaches you to actually identify what are true wants and needs. And it doesn't tax on your impulse control. It doesn't tax out your willpower, because we are trying to make serious changes here. We are trying to level up. We are trying to make a difference. So don't put yourself in a situation that is going to test your willpower. Don't put yourself in a situation that is going to leave you vulnerable to that. Just let it be. Just let it slide. Just continue to focus and make definitive decisions around what matters most to you. And you are going to have weakness. You are going to have moments that feel impossible. You are going to have moments where you are going to want to revert to your old self, because you're an addict. You're addicted to it. And I don't think that's going to pass. So you have to just keep reaffirming it. But you need to be aware that those situations are going to arise and make sure that you've put yourself in the best situation possible to not relapse, to not go back to that person, to keep progressing forward. That's what this is about. That's what this change is about. It's about becoming the best version of yourself, the greatest version of yourself. That's what we are working towards here. So if you're ready to do that, if you're ready to step up and see who you can be to become the greatest version of yourself, shoot me a message. Let's get you into chasing greatness daily. Let's start that process now and see who you can become on the other side. Now, as always, if you're not quite there yet, click the link in my bio, grab my top 10 tools to transform your mental toughness. And lastly, as always, if this spoke to you, if you enjoyed it, if you know someone who needs to hear this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. But most importantly, hit that subscribe button. It helps me, it helps you, it helps the algorithm know that you're serious. You've made a statement, you put your hand up and you're like, I am serious about changing my life. So let them know, because like everything in chasing greatness, I'll be here every single day. Rain, hail, or shine. Sharing from the front, sharing my experiences, sharing these lessons, and helping you become the greatest version of yourself. So hit that subscribe button, because I'll be back again tomorrow, and I look forward to seeing you then.